You're listening to
Wrestling to the Max.
Alert. Clear all channels.
This is an exclusive
Pay-per-view review.
How you like that?
And your hosts, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Leeser.
Hold your breath and count to 10. Just count to 10.
Alright, welcome to Wrestling to the Max Unwrapped Special number 14 for WWE Hell in a Cell 2015.
That's right. Yeah, a big pay-per-view, and once again, we are here again to review it for all you guys. Just want to welcome everybody to the show. Here is my co-host, Sean Garmer, who you just heard, and we, of course, always are happy to have our two other guys involved who love to review the shows with us, and at least I hope that I'm speaking that. First of all, we want to introduce Mr. Harry Broadhurst from the Raw Reaction. Welcome to the show again.
Good evening, Gary. Good evening, Sean. As far as that other guy goes,
Shit, it does not take very long here for the...
Yeah, and the other guy that Harry speaks of is our good friend, and you may know him from Wrestling Unwrapped, of course, and this is one of the things that I want to say. This guy is awesome, but you may have some troubles because he may actually get into some spats and some arguments with our fellow guest host Harry, Mr. Patrick Ketza. Welcome to the show.
Because 3 hours of us just isn't enough.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know who approved of this idea to let you two talk for 6 hours tonight, but God bless him.
Oh, God.
Oh, my goodness. So, well, one thing that, we do need to do is, make sure we let everybody know, sadly, Mr. Paul Leeser is not a part of the show tonight because he had to work. So that's, upsetting, but hey, all is fair. We'll have him on our regular program on Thursday night, Wrestling to the Max. He'll be giving you all his thoughts on the pay-per-view and, of course, his rating. So you'll get that there. But tonight, we are going to do our thing. Go ahead and let the show roll on, and we are going to get this thing started. So, guys, let's get into this thing fast, hot, and heavy, and let's get into that kickoff match. Now, of course, we always question, how is this kickoff match going to be? Is it going to be good, bad, ugly? What? But we do get one that I think everybody was pretty okay with, and this is one. It took place tonight at the start. Dolph Ziggler, Cesaro, and our good friend Neville facing Rusev, Barrett, and of course Sheamus. Now, this was a match that was, really, back and forth, and of course, guess what? Everybody's predictions was right, pretty much. The faces got over here with Neville and Cesaro and Ziggler. So I just need to know, Harry, what were your thoughts on the whole thing? Were you pleased on how it turned out?
I actually have to abstain myself from this match. I got to my friend's house during it.
Well,
so I didn't see the entirety of the match.
Neither did I. That's why I was asking you, Harry. That's exactly why I asked you, so I didn't have to answer it. But gosh darn it, now I have to go over to these other guys who actually watched it. Sean.
This was actually a pretty good match. As you'd expect with those three against, three quality guys when they want to work. I think the most entertaining part for me was, again, Cesaro. He just keeps being awesome, and he is so... I don't understand how Vince continues to say that the guy is boring. He lights up the damn arena every time he does something. It's just amazing to me. But it was him and Neville should be a team. I would love it. Of course, Neville winning with the Red Arrow. So.
Yep. So, I mean, it was pretty cool. I mean, I did see the ending, just to let everybody know. I didn't get to see the chance to see the whole thing, but I did see the end. You know, we were getting things ready for the show we did on Rabble TV tonight, so I got to see that. But, you know, I forgot, Patrick, did you even watch it?
I caught about the second half of it. But even what I was able to see, it just seemed like mostly a showcase for Cesaro. And, you know, I think it was combined with a fresh, hot crowd. And I'm with whoever just said it, that it seems like Cesaro just lights up the crowd every time. And it seems like the crowd doing everything they can to will him ahead. But for some reason, it's just something's just not clicking, and they just will not get in a real good push that I think he does deserve.
Yeah, I think a lot of people agree with that. I mean,
and they were holding. I think it was Ziggler was holding up the big Cesaro section sign, and the Cesaro made sure he turned it around to where it said something else, so that I guess he wouldn't get in trouble.
If anybody should know what it's like to have a fan base love him and not get anywhere with it, it would be Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
Right?
Ain't that the truth? You know, Cesaro was smart about that, because everybody knows if you try to tell the creative or Vince what you want, they're going to go the opposite way. So, yeah, smart on Cesaro to turn that sign around for sure.
Go back to being Big Show's bitch.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, God.
It's so accurate. You know, it's really funny. And you look at this match, and we were going to fly through it, and we are probably going to get through this pretty quickly. I just want to mention this, and I think you guys could probably agree. There is so much talent in this match. I mean, you've already named a couple of them. I even think Rusev is a good talent. Just really the bottom line is these are the guys that are kind of put aside. They're forgotten. The ones that, we want them to be on the roster, but we're never going to put them anywhere great. That's the way it feels. Anybody disagree with that or agree?
I believe when the six-man tag happened on Raw, Tony's Raw report on Raw said something about the next in line versus the usual suspects or something like that, comparing the fact that Barrett, Sheamus, and Rusev are where they at, and Cesaro, Neville, and Ziggler could be where they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Tony has it right on there, right there, and, you know, it's just a shame. You know, I think these guys, you know, still have a future. Don't get me wrong, I'm acting like, you know, this is doom and gloom. It's not. It's just the fact that I think we get excited about what Cesaro can do and his talent, potential. It's just, you know, we always question, will it ever get there? And it seems like not. So, well, you know, enough about the kickoff show. We need to get into the meat of this thing. Let's go ahead and start off with the first match of Hell in a Cell 2015. We get John Cena coming out first, and he gets his little speech started. We don't need to get into detail what he said. Wasn't important. What really matters is we get Zeb Coulter coming out and, you know, kind of giving John Cena a hard time. What was our first thing, Patrick? I think Patrick said it first. When we were doing Rabble TV, Patrick said, oh, you know what, the real American, you know, and we all thought, okay, well, we all know Jack Swagger is going to be, this is a big disappointment. And it wasn't at all. It was the complete opposite of Zeb Coulter's character who came out. That is Alberto Del Rio, Mexico's favorite. It is, you know, an exciting time for us all as we sit there and watch it, just because, you know, the rumors of El Patron coming over, Alberto Del Rio. He finally does make his re-debut in WWE, and here we go with this match. And I think we got a pretty decent match here. It was exciting. We were kind of wondering how it was all going to work out. In the end, Alberto Del Rio does take the U.S. title and does move on with it, and I think John Cena will move on his own way off TV. But Patrick, as you watch this match, you got to give me your honest opinion. How did you feel about it?
In terms of, okay, I love me some Zeb Coulter, and I think we're almost all in agreement on that. It wasn't the surprise that I think anybody was expecting, but by no means was it a bad surprise. I was pleasantly surprised to see that it was Del Rio. Sure, I would have wanted Zayn, I would have wanted Bryan, or these 900 different people that were rumored and were guaranteed they were definitely going to be there but weren't. So I thought that was good. I was surprised about the fact that, you know, usually with Cena, especially on the Raw matches, it takes like he'll take like one or two finishers and always kick out, and he loses to essentially a non-finisher, with the short super kick.
That might be his finisher now. That's kind of what he was doing in Lucha Underground sometimes.
Maybe it is from now on, but I thought, I thought they had a real quality match. I thought maybe it could have used maybe 5 more minutes, but I think with the pacing, with everything else tonight, it kind of did fit in where it was. You could say, Cena wasn't ready or blah, blah, blah. But I didn't think it was a bad match by any accounts.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And Harry, looking at this, I mean, I want to know definitely your thoughts on it being Alberto Del Rio. I've got to know those thoughts, but I also want to bring this up too. For a guy that was so controversial leaving the company and coming back, I mean, is this really WB working hard to try to get not only Alberto Del Rio over, but also win over the crowd? Because, John Cena is a guy that's been, going through people left and right with that U.S. title. The only person he ever, really lost it to was Kevin Owens. So, I mean, what was your thoughts on this and Alberto Del Rio returning?
I actually picked Alberto Del Rio in the Raw reaction, so I was very happy with the return of Del Rio here. I figured it was going to be Del Rio once it was announced that he was missing that WXW show, because I figured there was more to it than him just having some kind of snafu that they couldn't work out with his travel arrangements. As far as the match goes, I thought the match was okay. It wasn't anything great. It wasn't anything terrible. It was kind of there, and I think it was there because I think it was the way that it was, as to not underwhelm the card given what was coming up next on the card, too. Because, remember, they went straight from Alberto Del Rio and Cena right into the first of the 2 Hell in a Cell matches.
Mm-hmm. That is very true.
As far as the pairing of Del Rio with Zeb Coulter goes, when Zeb Coulter first came out, I almost was certain that he was going to bring in a real American. I thought for a second it might be Kurt Angle.
Oh, man. Oof.
That's what I was sitting there thinking. Oh, God, don't tell me I was right about the Kurt Angle thing.
Yeah. I mean, TNA does...
I would have told that other Paul in our group he could go stick it, but...
You were waiting.
No, I mean, just like he kind of ranted, like, oh, the guy couldn't be there for something, but wrestling, I'm like, you're right. But just like, we can't all get excited about the possibility, maybe?
I mean, we were all excited about all the different possibilities. I was a Sami Zayn guy, let's be honest. I was really hoping it was Sami Zayn. Thought it fit the story, because, of course, he got hurt against John Cena. And then, a lot of people wanted, Daniel Bryan, of course, which is a very, very popular name. Hey, I would have been happy with that especially. But Alberto Del Rio is the guy that I think works here because of the fact that not only is it a good return, but it also fills the void that WWE's had, and they've mentioned this plenty of times. They want to have a face for the Latino community. They've done it. So, Sean, is this the best thing for WWE to bring him back, despite the fact they've had their issues with Alberto Del Rio?
Apparently, you want to answer it, Eric?
No, I was just going to say, I wouldn't say the company's had their issues with Del Rio. I'd say Del Rio has had his issues with the company, given the fact that he bitch-slapped an employee for making a racist comment toward him.
Yeah, but that's when Stephanie had a problem with him because she was really good friends with that guy that he slapped, so I don't know.
And then, wasn't that guy get fired like a month or so later anyway?
Yeah, they had to do it eventually. I think Vince said, we have to cut our losses.
Well, they had to. I think even the wrestlers would have. There was probably a lot of wrestlers that probably felt the same way as Del Rio. I mean, it just... I think in a way, supposedly Triple H told them to take a couple months off and to come back. So I have a feeling that as soon as Del Rio went out and proved that he could make himself something without WWE, they said, okay, obviously this guy, we can use him to beat somebody. And they brought him back. I mean...
But is he the right guy? I mean, I think he's definitely a talented guy, but do you think it's the right move when it comes to filling that void for the Latino community? Because
who else? Carlito? I mean, he's not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Carlito?
I just don't see Kalisto getting over in the same way that Ray did. It's a different era, different...
I completely disagree with you, Sean, because I think Kalisto's a better flyer than Ray was.
He might be a better flyer, but they're not. It's just that he's not. He's by himself. There's not like a zillion other lucha guys in the company right now that Ray can work with and become the best. Like Ray kind of did in WCW, where he became the best of those guys, and then he went on to work with others and all that. I mean, Kalisto's just kind of on an island by himself, and a lot of people already see him as like, oh, this is the guy they brought in to replace Ray. I'm talking about like casuals, and it's hard to get out of that mold. Is WWE going to let him have a character outside of the fact that he's a lucha guy? I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it other than, okay, maybe he can sell some masks, but that's not the only thing that's going to work for the company as far as being as big as Ray was. He was way out of, aside from selling masks, Ray did a lot more than that.
Mm-hmm. I get you. There's a lot of factors here. It's very interesting. I'm very happy that Alberto Del Rio is back. This is good news, I think, for a lot of people, and especially, like I said, the Latino community can really get back their guy. And I think overall, this is just a great thing for WWE.
I think, can we agree though, as far as heavyweights, is there anybody besides
Pentagon Jr.?
That I can grant you. I don't know that Kalisto would ever be taken seriously enough to be put into the same positions that Ray got. But let's be honest here. Ray probably only got to that position because they were taking advantage of the sympathy and the backlash of Eddie Guerrero's death.
Well, that's true. We all know that's what happened.
Exactly. Well, let's move on to the next match, guys. The first Hell in a Cell match. We get it right after this big U.S. title match. It is Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns. And, what's interesting, these guys come out. They're ready to rock and roll. No support, really. Just these two guys ready to go. And so we get this match, and wow. I mean, here come all the chairs, the kendo sticks, even the tables, guys. They used everything besides the kitchen sink. And just, had a great match. I mean, I don't think it was anything just spectacular, but it was a fun match to watch from my point of view, at least. I mean, Sean, what was your thoughts as you were watching this? Did you kind of get excited? Were you surprised at what they were doing, or were you disappointed?
For one thing, I really wish sometimes they would have the kitchen sink out of the ring. So maybe we could get that cliche back. But alas, I guess that will never be again. That was only an Attitude Era thing where they really had the kitchen sink at times. But that being said, they did a heck of a lot more than I thought they would. They really let them kind of go all out and use weapons, and they didn't get to go outside of the structure of the cell itself, other than going outside the ring, to the ring area there. But they did all they could with everything. I mean, I like the fact that Bray got creative with putting the kendo stick and the chair in between things inside the cell there to actually do certain spots. Stuff you don't see all the time. So I appreciated that. All the tables that got used. Pretty cool stuff.
Mm-hmm. And Patrick, what was funny is, and I did mention baseball, which is very dangerous, especially with, what you've had to deal with, Patrick, and I definitely want to apologize to you for what your Cubs had happened to them. But I think the baseball reference is valid here. With, of course, Roman Reigns just totally hitting home run after home run on Bray Wyatt. And, of course, we said it was a Kansas City Royal home run. Sorry, Mets fans. But what was your thoughts over this whole thing? Did you enjoy this match? It was kind of like a hardcore match all over again, in a way.
Screw you, Daniel Murphy. Kiss my ass, you son of a bitch. I think a lot of people went in expecting it to be hard hitting, and they really did not take anything lightly. And like you said, a lot of the shots with the kendo sticks were home runs between the two of them. And I thought this match, I didn't think it was really going to be a bad match, but it even exceeded my expectations. I thought this was better than I think anybody really did give it a chance to be, especially with like the spear off the apron through the table to the floor. I thought was really cool. And like you said, the the kind of a little bit of creativity, a little bit of creative freedom with, like you said, the chair and the candlestick, being wedged into the cage and things like that. I thought these two actually did really, really well for a Hell in a Cell match. So I'm actually very pleased with it.
Glenn is telling me to tell you, Patrick, that the Cardinals fans say, "Suck it."
Glenn,
Yeah.
I would tell Glenn that the Cardinals didn't get as far as the Cubs did this year and to shut up.
Exactly. When it came down to it, who ended up moving on? The Cardinals? No, the Cubs did. So screw you, Glenn.
Glenn. Please, Glenn. We're trying to heal these wounds, not reopen them. We'll talk about open wounds later in this show. But, I mean, Harry, this didn't end up being a bloody match. I expected this one to actually be the bloody match. I really didn't think it was going to be later in the show. I thought there would be a little bit more to it, but I think it was a good match. I thought it was fun. But what were your thoughts after seeing this and seeing that, Roman Reigns won? I mean, I think a lot of people, I say we all, but a lot of people did predict Roman Reigns. Did you think that was the right move? And not only that, what did you think about the match?
Given the way that the show ended, I don't think it was the right idea. And we'll get more into that a little bit later on into what that means going forward. But as far as the match itself goes, the biggest compliment that I could pay this match is that it felt like an honest-to-goodness blow-off match between these two. Mm-hmm. And the aggression was there, the violence was there. You could definitely tell that there was legitimate dislike for each other during the course of the match. I mean, as much as you can have in a wrestling match, obviously. But I feel like that they definitely took the story that they were given for this match, and they took the opportunity that they had with both the cell as well as the weapons involved inside of the cell, and they took full advantage of it, and I thought it was a really good match. I would actually go as far to say it was probably my favorite match on the show.
Ooh.
I don't know about my favorite match on the show, but, was there really anything else that was like...
Well, we'll talk more about that once we get to our final reaction, I'm sure.
I might have to agree with you. I don't know if anything else was, like, totally my favorite. But, yeah, I mean, I think everybody talked about this match at least once around, right?
Yeah. I'm good.
Gary?
Sorry, guys.
Gary.
Sorry, Skype's fun. We're on to the next match.
They're going, what the hell?
I know, Skype is fun.
Did Gary talk about the match at all, or did he just give his commentary while he was asking us for ours?
I was just giving my commentary here and there. I mean, I agree with most of you guys. It was a good match just because of the fact that we got the extra weapons. We got a little bit of good transitions in the ring. That was some sweet transitions between Roman Reigns and...
what was it, that Superman...
He
did something, and then he did the Superman punch. It was really awesome.
It was fun. I love that part, so... well, let's move on. Let's move on to the tag match, guys. We've got the New Day coming out, and of course they do their shtick, which I love. Of course, talking about their fallen friend, Mr. Xavier Woods. Of course, what they call him, a unicorn, right? So, but anyway, they come
They're
out.
all unicorns.
I know.
It's unicorn magic. Get it right.
Yeah, it's so weird. Oh man, it's like they're trying to bring in the anime stuff for Xavier Woods. Anyway, let's talk about. Huh?
I said I love it.
You do love it. I know you're an anime fan. The Dudley Boys though come out and they ruin all that.
So was Bray Wyatt. He had an anime mask on.
Mm-hmm. That's true. So
it looked more like a zombie mask to me, but to each their own.
It's up
the
for
anime
interpretation,
is technically
right?
called Tokyo Ghoul, so
Let's see. There you go. But let's talk about this match. I mean, we could talk about anime. That's probably a different podcast. Let's get into this. Let's get into the meat of this. Harry, give me your reaction on this match because, we had some of those, situations where we really felt like, the Dudleys are going to get the chance to win here. We think they're going to win, and then, nope, New Day steals it, wins it. What did you think about that? Did you think the Riot Tag Team won?
No. And the reason I say that is because I think this was the place to put the Dudley Boys over with Xavier Woods not at ringside, and then you can have the New Day win the titles back in the Dudley signature match at TLC. And that was exactly what I said on the reaction on Monday.
Well, fair enough. I could see your point, Harry. My whole thought about it was, it's just New Day has it. To me, I think they have still some legs with the title before they do drop it. The Dudleys have had so many titles; it doesn't matter when they win them. So it's okay if they wait a little bit. That's just my personal opinion. But Sean, do you agree that with kind of what Harry's saying here, or do you have different thoughts?
Hello?
My thing with it is I expected that I thought Dudleys would get it here, just because, it kind of had been enough of it. But honestly, after thinking about it, there's really not anybody else in the tag division that's kind of anywhere near their level. So if you have this go on until December, whatever, right? Who cares? And then in the Survivor Series, you could just have a Survivor Series elimination match and not have them defend the titles again to kind of give you a little break.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can pick it up, like Harry said, in December, and then at TLC with the tables match, that's when you get the logical ending.
Definitely.
We have a call in here. Welcome to the rest of the Max.
Hey, how y'all doing? It's Rick.
Hey, man.
Rick.
Welcome back.
So, man, the New Day, I was so glad to see them retain the titles.
Yeah, you and me both.
They are by far the most entertaining thing week in and week out. The hottest tag team on the roster right now. The hottest team, period, really. They're the reason to watch Raw. So them keeping the titles was the right move, in my opinion. And
does anybody not think the New Day are the reason to watch Raw right now?
Actually, there are a couple of people that call into the Raw reaction that hate the New Day. Which surprised me. I thought, but hey, everyone has their own taste, I guess.
You've always got to have the hipsters. Right?
Mm-hmm.
No, they're not hipsters. They're the marks. That's what they are.
Okay.
Like these are like the non. I mean, even if they do read
so you're saying like John and a few of those.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
That's exactly what he means.
All right, fair enough.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I kind of had a theory about it, which I thought, like, when they first brought in the Dudley Boys, it was written on the wall that they brought them in to give them the titles. But this was before New Day got on that hot streak, and people started catching on and latching to their gimmick. And I think after a while, they see how the people are reacting to New Day. I mean, they can't take the titles off of them now. They got to keep the belts for a little while longer, at least, like till December, like one of y'all was saying at the TLC pay-per-view.
Yeah, and I agree, and that's my point. I think they still have some legs with it. And I mean, sure. I mean, everybody was kind of predicting the Dudleys. They kind of felt like, it's their time. But the Dudleys, like I said, have been there, done that. It's okay. We can wait a little while. The New Day is still enjoying them. Give us some time. So, but I mean, Rick, is there anything else you wanted to talk about, man? I know there's some other matches on this card you may want to kind of get into.
There's something I'd like to talk about with Rick on the air.
Go ahead.
Okay.
We made it official on Monday. Let's go ahead and tell you guys as well. Jimmy Christopher has decided to take more of a producerial role with the Raw reaction, and that left us short a third co-host. Well, we have him, and it's Rick.
Oh, man. Sweet. That's awesome.
Effective this Monday, he takes over as the official third co-host of the Raw reaction.
Well, congratulations, Rick.
Thank you, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited to do it. I was really, really genuinely surprised and excited and grateful that I was asked to come on and be a regular co-host. I've been calling in for a while, and I've been filling in a couple of times, and I like to see, where I can take the show with the Cajun Corner every Monday night after Raw.
Oh, definitely. Well, this is great news, man. So, once again, we'll have to definitely check out that, Raw reaction for a new reason for Rick, everybody.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you wanted to bring to the show or anything, man?
No, just that's it for me tonight. I'm just gonna go and bang my belly like a Caucasian Kamala and listen to the rest of the show.
Perfect, Rick.
Awesome.
That's awesome, man. All right, buddy. Well, we'll talk to you later on.
All right.
Oh, that's great. You guys are gonna have a lot of fun with Rick Perry. Patrick, what was your thoughts on this New Day thing? I know we kind of talked a little bit about on, Rabble TV, but I got to know more of, reaction post show.
I think I'm kind of in agreement again. That at the time I didn't like it. I thought the Dudley Boys were the team that were going to get it, but like you said. Now that I've had more time to think about it, I think it's kind of one of those things where the title change would make more sense after Survivor Series, which is unlikely to have a tag title match, rather than do it before and then not have a defense at the very next pay-per-view. But unlike what Harry had said, I think now it's going to become a matter of not only do we get, the Dudley signature match, but I think we actually get a handicap tables match at TLC where I think it's going to be all three members of the New Day against the Dudleys, and I think the Dudleys are going to pull it out in December. It's just going to make a matter of what are they going to do for November with the Survivor Series, but hey, that's probably not going to be that big of a deal. You could almost do, New Day and Ascension versus the Dudleys, the one Uso who's not injured, and Sin Cara and Kalisto almost. You could throw something together. And then I think once you continue it into December, my guess is the Dudley Boys probably get it in December, and we'll take it to WrestleMania with the belts.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wouldn't mind seeing that. The one thing I will say is I kind of hope they have a 6-man tag soon, and of course the Dudleys member has to be Spike. I wish that could
I don't know that Spike wrestles anymore, though.
Is he done? Really?
I haven't heard anything about him even working any indies lately at all.
That's sad. That is really depressing. Well, anyway, we'll have to add somebody else to that mix, but I mean, looking at this, Sean, I mean, we've got, once again, the New Day carrying those titles and, a decent match here. But, I mean, what were your thoughts? Were you really hoping for a lot of different, were you hoping for a longer match? What were your thoughts after watching this whole thing?
I mean, it was fine. I mean, for what you're given with two of them there, no Xavier Woods. God, Patrick, your typing is just like...
Never mind. I'm trying to fix it as we speak.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean. It's just, it's distracting. Anyway, honestly, I don't remember a lot about the match. I just remember that they won, and it is what it is.
Yeah, it kind of runs together, to be honest with you, because, at first you kind of expected, I really did expect some point somehow them to find a way to sneak a table, and even though, it's a straight up
I
tag
did love
match,
the whole, them teasing not using the trombone, that thing where they were almost going to have the DQ, and then they don't do it, but then anyway, Big E comes in with the trombone and hits him in the back. And Trouble in Paradise and he wins.
Yeah.
That's probably the best part.
I would agree with that. You know, and this isn't the let off or the kind of the. To me, this match was good for what it was worth. It was what we kind of expected, but I'll say this. This is when you kind of see the acceleration of the show kind of let up a little bit. Just a little bit. This is the kind of like, you know, they're going about 80 and they're slowing down to about 60 a little bit here. So that's just my personal opinion on it. But, you know, a decent match. And, of course, New Day goes away retaining their belts. So we were all happy for that. Well, at least I was. I say all of us. Me and Rick were happy. I know the rest of you guys wanted the Dudleys. So moving on, let's go ahead and talk about the Divas title match. And, of course, Charlotte the champion facing off against Nikki Bella. And, of course, Patrick, you got a chance to see this match. Give me your thoughts. And, you know, do you think Charlotte retaining was the right thing?
Get Nikki the hell out of there and as far away as you possibly can. I'm more than happy with Charlotte winning clean. Nikki's getting better in the ring, but considering what we know about Paige, Becky, Sasha, Charlotte, you know, Bayley and Emma and Asuka, you know, sitting in NXT waiting to come up. I think the whole Divas Revolution thing is headed in the right direction. You know, whether the whole thing about, you know, oh, Nikki's got to be the face of the Divas Revolution or blah, 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 you know, whatever crap that is. Hopefully that doesn't come to pass and they let, you know, the actual Divas that know how to wrestle and do it consistently and have great matches. Let them do their thing. And just try and build to, you know, I would say probably like try to get to like a big 4 horsewomen match like at WrestleMania or something. Just get the fellas the hell away now.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that, you know, but that's just my personal opinion as well. I mean, I don't want to get into it too much to gripe about. Yeah, Patrick, I can totally agree with that. We got a caller. Mr. Brandon Biscobing is calling. Hey, man, we want to get to hear your thoughts on Hell in a Cell, man. What's up?
Yeah, hey, guys. I mean, this day has been better for me than it was for Sean in the football world, but neither one of us, I don't think, is very happy.
God, you have to bring that up again? Jesus. There's enough already during the game. There's enough already. Like,
at least none of you guys lost to Jacksonville.
Yeah. Oh,
that is pretty embarrassing.
I'll give you that.
But just to let everybody know, you can go check out Sean and of course Brandon calling that Cowboys Giants game on Rabble.tv. Pretty good game that they called there, so make sure you go check that out. But man, we would need to talk Hell in a Cell. Brandon, give us your thoughts on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean, this pay-per-view, the Hell in a Cell the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view is one of the ones that I look forward to all year. You know, I love the gimmick matches. I loved when they were not just their own pay-per-view, but going on in different pay-per-views and you never knew what was going to happen in the next pay-per-view. But, I mean, now at least you know that you're going to get one a year, at least. But this one, with all the history of Hell in a Cell and everything, it was a big disappointment for me. Let's start from the beginning. U.S. Championship match. Why is Del Rio with Zeb Coulter? I mean, before
I can answer that.
Okay.
All right.
Would you want to be associated with the jobber that Jack Swagger has become?
No, not at all. But the last time we saw Del Rio in a WWE ring, he was directly feuding with Zeb Coulter and the Real Americans. And when Zeb Coulter came out, he had the Real Americans music on. So unless he's going to make the same sort of thing as he did with Cesaro, where, oh, Del Rio's a Real American and all that, despite the fact that he's been wrestling in Mexico for the past, 3 years or something, you know, he's really going to have to stretch to to figure out how to bring him into the fold, unless they're just dropping that whole Zeb Coulter being, you know, the way he was with Swagger gimmick.
Wow. Well, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
sorry, making sure.
I was just seeing if any of you guys had any ideas where this could be leading in terms of a gimmick for those two.
What do you guys think?
Donald Trump does not approve.
You get fired.
Very, very true. Very true.
Honestly, as far as Del Rio goes in regards to him being associated with Coulter, I think this is kind of a quick thing, and as I mentioned earlier in the show, when I saw Zeb Coulter come out and him talking about bringing back what he believed to be the right thing to do, and I was imagining the Real Americans, I thought for sure that he meant Kurt Angle at that point.
I was kind of making that note during the Rab one. I was kind of like, oh, don't tell me I'm going to be right here, because this is going to make us all go crazy right now.
Yeah, I was thinking either Angle or at first I was thinking, oh wow, are they bringing back Jack Swagger already? You know, but it was a huge shock to me, especially considering it was Zeb Coulter. You know, I did not expect Del Rio to come out, and we were talking about it the last, like, a week or two ago about how we were trying to figure out where should Del Rio go. And not a lot of us were probably saying the WWE weren't expecting it this quickly, at least.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next match, well, first off, why is a Hell in a Cell match this early in the card? You almost never see that. You would think that would, at the very least, be, you know, the third to last match, fourth to last match, something like that, you know, be much deeper in the card. And then
I have a theory for that, Brandon.
Okay.
My theory for that is with your World Heavyweight title match in the mid-card as well already here, you wanted something at the top of the show and then something at the bottom of the show that were main event worthy, and I feel like the two Hell in a Cell matches fill that void.
That's true. That's true.
And then we had, if I'm not mistaken, didn't CM Punk versus The Undertaker kick off a pay-per-view with the Hell in a Cell match for the World Heavyweight Championship back in, like, 2009?
Yeah, but Punk got dropped to pieces in that match, so it doesn't really count.
It's still open to show, and it's still a Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah.
You see, I think, I don't know if I speak for Brandon here, but I almost think that I would have been better off with Reigns and Wyatt opening the show with their Hell in a Cell match and then having a cool-down match and then going into Cena's U.S. title open challenge.
Well, exactly. If you were gonna put a Hell in a Cell match early on, at least have the cell down to start off, and then, like, why drop it just to bring it back up, just to drop it again? It, like, you know.
Yeah.
I think that would be better to have
somebody's
the
phone
two,
or something's being weird.
Yeah. It probably would have been better to have the two Hell in a Cell matches bookend the pay-per-view. But, I mean, moving aside from that, Reigns won, which everyone expected, no surprise there. But in my opinion, Bray Wyatt won this match in terms of creativity, in terms of how he handled himself in the cell. Starting off with, even before the match even started, Roman Reigns comes into the arena, into ringside, on the announcer table side of ringside. And then he walks, he has to walk around the cell, around one end of the cell and into the door in order to get in. And he did absolutely nothing with it. He didn't even acknowledge the cell. He just did his normal walk past the cell and in. How do you do that in a Hell in a Cell match? I don't understand how you don't at the very least acknowledge it, even if you're not gonna, pull a Mick Foley and go up to the top or anything. At least hit it a few times, feel it as you're walking by, and see what you're getting yourself into. That's just normal concept of, I'm in a very physical match. I'm in a match that is, career threatening. I have to, feel this thing and feel what it's gonna, do to me. But then putting that aside, in the match itself, in terms of creativity, in terms of, how they handled themselves in the cell, I give the win hands down to Bray Wyatt here. And because I saw things in the cell that we've never seen before. The chair being stuck onto the cell, the kendo sticks into the ring post and into the cell. He did a very good job of finding new and creative ways to use that thing for punishment. And that's exactly what you want to see in these types of matches is, what can you do next? How can you top this?
Very true. Well, quickly, do you want to go ahead and give your rating for us, Brandon?
This thing, Seth Rollins beat Kane, which wasn't surprising. Another thing that was weird in terms of the booking timeline is why is the Intercontinental match after the World Heavyweight match?
I'm not a booker. But I can see where they're coming from only because
it was more about having a
kind of a cool
rest period match,
cool down
match that they could have in that they can also kind of have him fast forward, as Patrick said during the Ramble, So I don't think you have the world title. See, they're not all about having the positions of the card in a certain way anymore. WWE obviously does not care where anything is anymore. It's different than, say, how New Japan still does it the very traditional way, where you have your semi-main event, your main event, your Intercontinental title goes second, your main title always goes last. That's the traditional old way that you always did it. WWE certainly does not care about that. They do it based on what's going to take the heat away from this, what can we do quickly so that make sure we have a lot more time given to the main event match. And they felt like Owens and Ryback could be done very quickly, and they felt like they wanted to give a lot of time to Rollins and Kane, so they put Rollins and Kane before you get to Owens and Ryback.
Mm-hmm. So, all right, well, Brandon?
Hey, which is better than doing the Divas for 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll talk more about that.
Yeah. And then just like the Undertaker Lesnar match, it was kind of what you expected. I liked how Lesnar pulled up the ring apron or the ring cover to expose the wood, and that was another innovative thing. And then seeing the things that they did in that match, whether Lesnar bladed or not, he still got busted open. And the reason, in my opinion, why so many people like seeing the older guys, it's not just a nostalgia thing. It's the fact that for whatever reason, I think it's a kind of grandfather rule type thing. WWE allows these guys so much more freedom to do what they want to do in the ring, both in the ring and in terms of their gimmicks and everything, than they do the new guys, which allows them to do the things that get the bigger pop, get the fans going more. So that's, if the WWE wants to get these younger guys over, they have to give them a little bit of freedom to allow them to do some of the things that will really get the fans on their side.
Yeah, I definitely understand. All right, what's your rating, man?
My rating on this overall is a 4. And that is really low for a pay-per-view. This, I mean, as I said, the Hell in a Cell is one of my favorite pay-per-views of the year, and it just did not do it for me this year. Yes, there were some innovative moments. Yes, with Bray Wyatt and, Lesnar doing what he did with it. And, it will be interesting to see how this whole this Undertaker Wyatt Part 2 will pan out. But I have a feeling I know what's going to happen, which will just further destroy Bray Wyatt's character into the abyss. Mm-hmm. But that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, fair enough. So. All right, Brandon. Well, we appreciate you calling, man. Thanks for giving us your thoughts on the Hell in a Cell.
Yep, and I'll probably talk to you guys on Thursday after with Raw.
Sounds great, buddy. We'll talk to you then.
Yep. See ya.
All right, everybody. That's Brandon Biscobeing. Come check him out. He's usually on a show or two of ours, and of course you can find him on LastWordOnSports.com. So
he is not on Last Word on Sports.
Was he? I thought he was writing for them.
He's part of Page 2.
Basically, I apologize. My bad.
I just don't want to get yelled at by Last Word on Sports.
Edit that. We're usually live. We are live, but I mean that's bad. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on past that, Sean. Let's talk about the Divas match. And we were just talking about that before Brandon called. Now, I just got to get your thoughts on this. It seemed like there were a few botches here, some issues going on. I mean, overall, does this stall the Revolution?
Charlotte retained. So let's see what happens after this match is over. Seemed like once again we're playing coy with Paige about whether or not she's with the team, not with the team. Seems like a bunch of trying to play both sides of the fence because when Natalya shows up on Raw, things are going to get a little feisty, and that's fine. I think it's just I think it's fine. We'll have to see if the Bellas are truly done, which I don't think they are until the Team Bella thing is completely over. Would not be surprised if maybe they try to throw Brie in there for some weird reason, but I hope not. Hope we finally get to moving into something else for Charlotte other than whoever's in Team Bella, because that doesn't really showcase what she has and what she can give to the women's division. I think that they tried in this match. I'll give them credit. Their previous one wasn't that great. I thought they tried to do more with this, except for that backflip. I don't know what the hell that thing was supposed to be, where basically Charlotte backflips and Nikki falls down. But other than that, they tried to do the whole working the leg thing, and it again didn't really do anything, and then Nikki doesn't sew the leg at the end, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that's true. But, it is interesting. And, Harry, I really want to know what you're thinking on this because, Charlotte, once again, she does retain. But is this the right decision? Do you think they're going in the right direction? And how do you feel like this whole thing is going to shake out, especially after this match?
Well, what this should do is this should move Nikki Bella out of the title picture for a while, and that should allow for better matches involving in the title picture once you get Charlotte working more consistently with the Paiges and the Sashas and the Beckys and the Natalyas of the world. As far as the match itself goes, yeah, whatever the hell that backflip out of that German spot was supposed to be, don't ever try that again because both of those women almost died.
Yeah.
Well, Charlotte was okay when she backflipped. It was more like Nikki basically just went straight to the mat.
Charlotte's knee buckled on the landing, and then she almost came down right on Nikki.
Yeah, that was... was she really trying to do a backflip and see if she could catch Nikki in midair or something? I can't imagine what the hell they were trying to do. Any ideas, Patrick? Patrick?
I have a friggin' clue. I think that's something and all three of us have been talking about this for the last 3 hours of what the hell were they trying to do. The only thing I could come up with was what you just mentioned. Charlotte was going to try and backflip and land on her feet and essentially catch Nikki in a reverse X Factor, but other than that, I have the foggiest clue.
Yeah.
It's a bad idea all around, honestly. But anyways, as far as the rest of the match goes, it wasn't terrible.
Yeah, I'll give you that. It wasn't terrible. It was just, mistakes here and there, and but I mean, I feel like the result was the right thing. I really do. I know there'll be people that will probably disagree, but I think it was the right way to go. Well, let's go ahead and move on past that, and let's talk about our second and last match here on the card, the Intercontinental title match with Kevin Owens, the champ of that IC, and of course we got, guess who?
I feel like we skipped Seth Rollins and Kane.
Oh, yeah, we did skip Seth
Oh,
Rollins.
I apologize. On the run sheet that I have here, it had them. So let's go ahead and talk Seth Rollins and Kane. Thank you, Harry. Let's get into this match, the world title match. If Kane loses, guess what? Or if Demon Kane loses the job of Director of Operations. If Seth Rollins loses, well, he loses the title. But we got to get down and dirty with this and figure out what is going on. Sean, I mean, did you feel like this match led up to greatness, or did you think it was so subpar you were disappointed?
Firstly, I do not want to get down and dirty with Kane. That just doesn't sound right in so many, connotations.
Shut up, Sean.
God, Harry. So you saying that you do?
Well, if he buys me dinner first, perhaps.
Yeah, Harry's down with the sickness.
Okay.
Oh,
good one. Anyway, to me, I was the most bored by this match out of all the other ones that were on the show. Look, Rollins tried. He's once again having to work out of character because, Kane is rather limited. Nobody really cares that much about Kane. So it was just kind of like the Kane greatest hits that he could still do, and Rollins kind of just wrestling around it. I mean, give credit all I can to Rollins, but I was just kind of, if we weren't doing the Ravel, I might have perhaps fallen asleep.
I think Sean has a point here, Perry. I think what happens is remember I was talking about deceleration earlier? We went from 60 miles an hour to 30 very quickly. If that's what it felt like to me, Harry. I mean,
like 10 miles an hour.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was that slow.
See, I generally enjoyed the feud, though, so I didn't have any real issues with this match. I thought that, let's be honest, Kane wasn't taking the title in 2015 off of Seth Rollins, but I did expect some kind of shenaniganery involved in the finish, and there really wasn't any. So the best way that we can look at this here is it's the one thing that Seth Rollins desperately needed, and that was a clean victory as the WWE Heavyweight Champion.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Patrick, what were your thoughts on this match?
Ho-hum. I thought, unfortunately, I thought this was one of the weaker matches on the card. Not to say that it was outright bad, but, Kane's getting up there in age. There's not a whole lot that he can do. He can still do the Kane spots, but other than that, there's not a whole hell of a lot he can still do. This was definitely a B pay-per-view type of match. I'm glad that, for the second consecutive match, Seth Rollins has gone in against a legend and said, what, screw your Kane. But it wasn't a bad match given the circumstances. But, it wasn't match of the year quality, like, the triple threat at the Royal Rumble. But it served its purpose.
Mm-hmm. It really does, and you're right. I mean, it got the job done for what it was worth, but I mean, it was nothing special. I think that's what really, when I talked about deceleration, I think that's what it was. It was going through the motions. It didn't feel big. It didn't feel special. it just didn't. The feud was fine. I don't really particularly have just a terribly a bad taste in my mouth about the feud. It's just this particular match, not as great as I wanted it to be. Now I think it's time for us to move on to the Intercontinental Championship match with Kevin Owens and Ryback. And this one, Harry, I mean, looking at it, I think it was okay. We get really, I think, what we expected. I don't think we, expected Ryback really to go out this and with the IC title, but maybe you had different thoughts.
As far as Owens and Ryback goes, I actually expected Ryback to get a non-decisive victory here and to continue the feud over. But I suppose if you're going to end up moving Owens forward here, then getting him away from Ryback and moving on to getting him away from Ryback and moving him on to bigger and better things here. I could see an extended feud with Kalisto perhaps going forward as well. And another person that I could see now that Cena's out is I could see Sami Zayn coming back and challenging for the IC title against Kevin Owens in an extended feud to play off of their interaction in NXT. So in order to get to that point there, you kind of had to get Owens away from Ryback, and by having Owens defeat Ryback tonight at the pay-per-view, it's one way to do that, even if I did personally pick Ryback to win this match.
Mm-hmm. Patrick, I mean, you saw this. I mean, this to me, this was a little bit better match. I don't know. Maybe it was just me being a Kevin Owens fan, but I did enjoy this a little bit more in that world title match. I felt like it kind of picked up a little bit here in this show. But did you feel like it did, or did you kind of think this was ho-hum as well?
No, I granted, I think something that all three of us that did the live commentary said is this match seemed to be in fast forward. Because they did less than 10 minutes and they still had to get everything in. But I think it was mostly just to get Ryback just out of the way. And once again, a B pay-per-view type of match. You have a semi-important pay-per-view coming up, one that kind of unofficially starts the road to WrestleMania. The Royal Rumble actually being the start of the road to WrestleMania, but we're kind of on the on-ramp starting at Survivor Series. I think it kind of served its purpose. Once again, got everything out of the way with Ryback, and now Kevin Owens can kind of move on from here.
Sean, I mean, looking at this and looking at the fact that Kevin Owens does move on past Ryback, do you feel like Ryback was kind of slighted here? A decent match, but I mean, not walking out IC champion, we all, have, at least Paul, I know on our show is a big Ryback guy, kind of feels like he could go further, but do you think Kevin Owens is really the right guy to go with the IC title?
Yeah, he definitely is. I don't know what Del Rio is right now. I'm guessing he's a heel because he's with Seb, but sometimes Seb's been a face. So, it's weird to have two heels as your two secondary champions, and you have a heel as your world champion, and you have technically heels as your tag champions. So, other than Charlotte, you really don't have face champions right now. And it's, you got that all across the board, but I think Kevin Owens definitely, he needs to build up that title back to some kind of prominence. And
real quick here, Sean, I don't know that Alberto Del Rio is a heel.
Alright, I was just pondering the question of whether he was or not. But we'll find out on Monday. He could do a turn like we've seen him do a million turns. So, that being said, I think Owens is the guy that can really do a lot with carrying the title. I think what Harry and what Patrick said, and what I'm sure Harry has said, I said it during the rival. We've all said it at one time or another. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn for the title at Mania or whatever. So logical, so wonderful, so something we want to see. And I think, I don't know if they're necessarily holding out for that, because WWE's thoughts change every second of every day. But if we could get that, be great. I'd love it.
Yeah, I agree.
We already got Ryback as champion, and we saw how far that went. he didn't work,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, in that spot.
I think a lot of people can agree with that. I mean, I do like Ryback. I still think that he's got his own spot, but I don't know. IC title, maybe not just yet. Maybe later on. But right now, I can kind of see where Kevin Owens just has that potential. It has the ability to move the IC title to another level at this moment. So, but we'll have to see who the next opponent is. Let's go ahead and talk about our final match here. Our last Hell in a Cell match between Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker. And I know we were all questioning this match. Who was the one that was going to be the one to get the final pin? I mean, this has been a back and forth feud. It's been a long running feud, honestly, since it's kind of a WrestleMania type feud. I just got to know though, guys. I mean, looking at this, we get blood, which, I don't know about you, Patrick, but I was kind of surprised to see, because, WWE has been so anti-blood. And then, in the end, we end up having, Brock Lesnar win. And so, kind of two things.
Well, I have an answer for that here.
Okay, go ahead.
Apparently, it is being said that the ring post was a complete and utter blade job. He did not hit the post. And that Vince was he was freaking out. And that's why the doctor was sent out there and all that stuff, that both Kevin Dunn and Vince were not happy at all with both guys bleeding. So take that with what you will. Don't know if Brock's going to get fined for it like Batista was, but we shall see.
If I would advise not to fine him, otherwise WrestleMania is going to look a lot different. But that's just my personal.
He can't just. That's called breach of contract, Gary. He can't just decide that.
I'm sure Brock Lesnar has enough money to do whatever he wants.
Here's my thought process. Who has to be the poor son of a bitch to tell Brock he's fined?
For one, Taker had to be the one to say that's okay. So I'm guessing that's on Taker anyway.
And he's royalty, so what are they going to do to him?
Second of all,
he's just going to yell at him and whatever.
Second of all, as far as the ring post goes, honestly, it looked like he tried to get his hands up and didn't. Because that cut that he had on the top of his head was awfully high up on his head for it to be a gig.
Yeah.
Who knows? We're going to get more information, but I appreciate you, Sean, you kind of giving us a little bit of updated information on that, because, that has been the word of the night. This is
apparently from Brian Alvarez getting text from somebody that was supposedly backstage and watched Vince freak out in person. So, Alvarez says a bunch of crap and it doesn't always come out that way. So
yeah, so that is not the God's truth. We'll have to find out later. We will find out.
You won't ever get out the God's truth, Gary. So
listen,
always
we're gonna pretend like we know. Okay, Patrick, go ahead and give me your thoughts on this match.
Blood, holy cow, blood. I think it's done right. Blood really can be, a good part of a match. I thought that, with everything that they had done, with talking about the rivalry going back, even as far as 12 years now, I think they feuded in 2003, and then with everything that they had done over the last year and a half, I really had no issues with the blood.
Yeah, like Patrick said, that match, that was all blood in 2002.
Yeah. I did like kind of how I didn't like how they had Brock low into the F5 at first, but then when they had Undertaker kind of look up at him and kind of nod his head, like, all right, you SOB, you outsmarted me, then I did kind of like how they did it. I thought it was a great, hard-hitting, really stiff match. The ring post was an obvious blade job because his head didn't come anywhere near the ring post. But like I said, even like I said, going back to the blood, I really had no problem with it, and I thought it played its part in the match. I was actually kind of happy to see the blood.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, it's been a long time, and it's nice to get back to that, get back to the, I guess what you would call it, more realistic type things.
Well,
but,
Brock did bleed in the WrestleMania match.
Yeah, but, I don't know. It's just nice to see a little bit more than we used to, so it's a good time getting back to that era. But, I mean, looking at this, Harry, I mean, you like I said, you do have Brock Lesnar winning this match. I don't know how you feel about it. I'm not even sure if I remember who you picked. I'm trying to think, but I've just got to know, what do you think about this overall? Do you think this is the right way to go?
The general belief was that Taker was going to be getting the title shot at Survivor Series, and therefore had to beat Lesnar. The booking aspect of this is that, given the fact that Taker's pretty much lost the previous two matches, that he had to win this one in order to officially end the things with Brock. My thought on it is whoever beats Brock clean in the middle of the ring one of these days is going to be made a superstar out of doing it. That person did not need to be Undertaker. There was no reason for Taker to get this win here. The person who needs this win going forward is going to be somebody that can make the most out of this here, whereas Taker probably has 2, 3, maybe 4 more matches in him. Are we going to talk about the post-match during our wrap-ups here, or are we going to wait until after we're discussing the match here to talk about
We are going to talk about that, but you know what, Harry? You go ahead and get that started. I think that's fine.
All right. I think the most important aspect of this match, too, as well, is how it played into the post-match, where you had Taker throwing everything he had at Lesnar, and then Lesnar one-upped him by playing Taker's game with the low blow, and then using that exposed ring to hit the F5. Which, by the way, when he exposed the ring, the very first thought that I had out loud was, you're either Nexus or against us.
Yeah.
Wow, that went over like a wet fart. All right, anyway. The people I was watching with thought it was funny. But anyway.
Sorry, it's really late.
Sean's like just pinching himself. But no, I mean, I think it is. But you're right. I mean, get going.
No, as far as the exposed ring go, that's not something that you see very often in the WWE match, so I thought that really told a tale of viciousness and a mean streak to this part of the match that you don't see in any of the other matches. That helped it stand up there. Now, I want to get your guys' thoughts on this, and I want to actually ask a legitimate question here. Based on the fact that there are 4 Wyatt family members and 1 Undertaker, do you feel like this is leading to a Survivor Series match? And if so, who do you put on Undertaker's team for that Survivor Series match?
These guys actually did bring that up on the Rabble TV. Patrick, I'll let you start. Tell me who you had a few guys you had picked out.
Strowman, Parker, Wyatt, and Rowan. You could potentially do a 4-on-4, and if you want to do a 4-on-4, then you have them face Taker, Kane, Ambrose, and Reigns.
Sean, did you agree with that?
That was exactly my 4. So
And I'm
it's the ones that make the most sense. Orton got hurt, taking out the garbage, so you don't want him getting anywhere, near.
Is that serious? Did he really get hurt taking out the garbage?
That's supposedly the deal. I don't,
He's got bad shoulders, man. He's had.
That sounds like fuck what you people have for me. I'm taking time off.
Well, you know what though? Like, I could see that really. I mean, like, this is the guy that's done some crazy crap to people before. Like, getting hurt doing something as simple as taking out the garbage, that'd be kind of like just desserts, right? For all those people he screwed over before.
Yeah. I can see that. But yeah, I mean, I think that's, what they kind of chose, I think kind of have to be with those guys on, having, of course, the 2 Shield guys along with Kane to back up Undertaker, but.
Well, I actually had a name to throw out at you since he wasn't involved in the U.S. Open Challenge. Now, how about Daniel Bryan?
Okay.
Bryan has a history with the Wyatt family.
Yeah, I remember his history because he did technically, in a way, join the Wyatt family for a brief moment. Okay, but who would your 4th guy be then? If that's your 3rd, well, no, I take that back. You didn't choose Kane yet. You've got to choose Kane or choose somebody else. Who's your 2 other guys?
My other two guys for that match would be Roman Reigns and Kane.
Okay. So Dean is not part of that picture. Now, is Dean not part of that picture for you because of what we're hearing about maybe Dean Ambrose getting more of a push with John Cena gone?
You could move Ambrose back into the main event picture with Seth Rollins. I think there's certainly a part of the fan base that would enjoy that, and then there are other people that Ambrose could work with as well. I would like to personally see Ambrose work with Kevin Owens over the IC title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing that as well. Either would be fine with me, personally. I think either of those matches would be great.
They were on a table for 3 together.
Mm-hmm.
Not that that means anything.
So, no, that is very true, Harry. Did you have anything else you wanted to bring up? I don't want to cut you off.
Oh, no, that's it. I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on the ending as well.
Okay.
Did Patrick give his thoughts on the ending when he did his speech? Because I don't recall hearing it.
Well, no, he didn't. And Patrick, I mean, you did get a chance to see this, and you were kind of as surprised as we were in a way. And I think you were not thrilled about this with the Wyatt family coming out with Undertaker. What were your thoughts completely?
I don't know that I liked that it ended the pay-per-view like this. I thought with Taker kind of showing a little bit of respect for Brock, I thought that could have been a good way to end it. I think this was more of a Taker comes out on Raw, cuts a promo, kind of puts some finality, and then, congratulates Brock and kind of, goes on, they go on their merry old way, and then Bray comes out on Raw. But to end the pay-per-view the way that it did, after getting some finality, after, in truth be told, an 18-month storyline, it kind of did leave a bad taste in my mouth. But at the same time, I am excited to see, where it goes from here. And, part of me is also wondering, not only could we have Team Taker versus Team Wyatt, could we also get something potentially of Taker maybe being brainwashed into being the 5th person in the Wyatt family, and he has to go up against, maybe it's a combination of everybody. Maybe it's Reigns, Ambrose, Kane, Bryan, and a 5th. Somebody that knows, and it's kind of like for Taker's soul or something. Going into the the now 25th anniversary of the Undertaker, with them having the promo tonight. But I'm interested to see where it goes. But I don't think it had to end the pay-per-view tonight. I think it was more of something that could be done on Raw.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting thought on that. I don't know. I
have Ted DiBiase come back,
Only for bringing back Virgil.
Oh no, no.
Fuck Virgil.
Do you guys don't understand?
At this point, they might as well bring back, the brother dude instead of Virgil.
You don't understand. His son Kofi would be so thrilled to see his daddy back.
Oh.
No, you're not understanding my point here, Gary. Fuck Virgil.
Oh, come on. I want to go visit that gimmick table.
Virgil.
Okay, well, we'll move on.
Yes,
Don.
please do before Harry just takes down the podcast.
I know. Give your final thoughts on this match, Sean. I mean,
Dude, podcast killer, I'm telling you, I'll make it happen again.
I knew it. I knew it, Harry. Assassin. Give us your thoughts, though.
You know what? The match was actually pretty good. I enjoyed it. They went out and beat the crap out of each other. The ending, I was kind of like Patrick. I wasn't too big of a fan of it. It felt more like a Raw thing. I'm just not that big into. I mean, here, I can totally understand you kind of want to do it right then to provide intrigue to, oh crap, what's going to happen on Raw now? And this is what you used to do with pay-per-views, but you did it with how you ended a match or something of a different variety. So, while I am intrigued to see how or what this is going to be, it's a weird way to end the pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm. No, I see your point on that. I mean, it makes sense. Go ahead, Harry.
Sorry to interrupt you here, Gary, but I actually completely disagree with Sean here. I think this is a perfect way to end a pay-per-view, especially in the network era, because this is something that would get the fans that might have been considering tuning into the Monday night game tomorrow night to think, hey, maybe I should check Raw and see how it opens to see what's going on with this instead.
Trust me, I'll be surprised if people are tuning into that Monday night game. The Ravens are terrible.
Yeah, well, in fairness, there was a Detroit Lions game on Monday Night Football a couple weeks ago, and Raw had one of its lowest ratings ever. So.
But it was who was it? Was it the Lions and Seahawks? People like the Seahawks right now.
That's because people are a bunch of bandwagoners, but that's beside the point.
Oh man, yeah, we'll continue on with this other conversation about wrestling other than the bandwagoners. But no, I mean, you guys make some great points, and for me personally, I'm not that I'm thrilled with the ending here, but I will say this, I'm curious. I really am curious to see what's going to happen, because we've already visited this, with Undertaker and the Wyatt family, so. If they do a brainwashing thing or if they do something completely different, I just got to know what they're doing, and I'm hoping it's good. So, but that pretty much completes Hell in a Cell for us, everybody. So the last thing we got to do is give our rating, but the only way we can do it is to give our final reaction. So, Mr. Harry Broadhurst, give it to us, man.
I think you've called him Perry, Barry, and something else.
No, it's me slurring my words because I'm Ric Flair tonight because I'm tired. So
wouldn't that be more like late. Dusty?
Well, I don't know. Both of them have speech problems. Go ahead.
All right. I'm going to try to do this final reaction in English if you guys would be kind enough to cooperate.
A thuckatash. Go ahead.
No, that does not make Roman Reigns look strong. Stop it, Gary.
Sorry.
All right, let's start with Sean to mix things up a little bit here.
All right.
I started with Patrick last time, so I'm starting with you tonight.
Okay.
What was your favorite match or moment of tonight's show?
Favorite match is probably Reigns and Wyatt. And
okay.
Favorite moment? Shoot, man, I hate these favorite. I usually don't even think about what my favorite moment is. Just all the cool creative moments in that Reigns and Wyatt match.
All right. Your least favorite match and moment?
Kane and Seth Rollins. The Charlotte trying to do whatever the hell that was with Nikki. That was probably my least favorite, just because I fear for them after that.
Your overall score for this pay-per-view. Usually we do letter grades on the reaction, but here on W2M, we do numbers.
All right, I'm going to give it a 7. I thought there was, other than, me not really liking Rollins and Kane, there was nothing inherently wrong with the pay-per-view. There was some matches that, had you not have to have longer, the Hell in a Cell, that probably wouldn't have had to have so much time given to it if it wasn't because frickin' Undertaker they had to play that video package, they had to have Undertaker and Brock do entrances, they had to have them walk around the cell for ever. Just, what was that? It was almost 11 minutes for them from the time the cell went down to the time the bell rang. Patrick, that you counted?
Yeah, from the time the cell touched the floor to the bell ringing to the start of the match was seconds under 11 minutes.
Yeah, that could have been given to Kevin Owens and Ryback and perhaps others. Just, that stuff doesn't need to take that long. Del Rio and Cena, look, I totally get what you're saying, Harry, about they didn't want to take away from other things, but he's coming back, And Cena is known to have much better U.S. title open challenge matches than that. So that's one of those things. I think there was nothing wrong with the card at all. Just there was matches that were so-so, you know, and probably could have been better in a different setting or with more time given to them. So,
who would you say is your MVP for Hell in a Cell?
you know, I'll give it to Rollins. He had to work a match with Kane. He tried to make it work. And, you know, he's still the champion, so we'll give it to him.
All right. Patrick. Oh, man. Your favorite match and moment?
It is tough for me just because I know I'm an extremely harsh critic of Roman Reigns. Because I want to go with either of the Hell in a Cell matches, but I think I am going to go with Reigns and Wyatt. Just for, like was mentioned earlier, the creativity. Yeah, sure, they get to use like a dozen weapons, 3 candlesticks, 3 tables, multiple chairs, stairs, the cell itself. But I think certain ways that they were able to use weapons in a creative way, I think definitely aided. The spear off of the apron I absolutely loved. And I just think, for a sense of finality, I think, they went through a war against each other, and I thought the match was a lot better than I expected it to be. So I'm going to go with that. As far as favorite moment, even though it would be ruined seconds later by Bray Wyatt coming in, I'm going to have to go with after the Brock and Taker match, and, Brock's, walking out or stumbling out, after going through war, and Taker, had finally set up, and he's kind of looking over, and it's like, you sly SOB, you beat me at my own game, using a low blow and then hitting finisher. But he kind of gave a look of I don't want to say passing the torch kind of look, but he kind of gave that, all right, you're okay by me, kid, kind of a look, and I really like that.
Your least favorite match and moment?
Not least favorite match isn't the competitor's fault. It's just they didn't have the time, but it would probably be Owens and Ryback. Strictly for the reason that they didn't have time. Like we said, for almost the entire match, it was in fast forward and let's get your stuff in and get out. So I wish they could have had maybe 5 more minutes, at least 5 more minutes. But what they had, they worked with, and they were able to get around it. But it didn't mesh very well. They didn't have the time to really take their time with anything. So I wish that they had maybe 5 more minutes. In terms of least favorite moment, it would probably have to be whatever the hell that top rope botchplex or whatever the hell they were trying in the Charlotte versus Nikki Bella match. I don't know what the hell they were trying, and I would not trust Nikki Bella in any way, shape, or form to try anything as risky as that. It only put herself in danger, and Charlotte at least was at least able to flip out of it. But between that and Nikki's little whatever the hell she did and landed on her knee, it did not mesh well at all.
Your overall score for the show?
I would have to agree, and I'd say I would probably give a score of 7. This was by no means a bad show. Was this a top quality show? No. But if you go into Hell in a Cell expecting, a top quality show, a Money in the Bank 2011 type show, you're not going to get that. You're never going to get that. But in terms of the quality of this show, I thought it was actually a more decent show. I thought, a lot of the matches did go very well. I thought the pacing was pretty good. There were very few backstage promos. It was a wrestling-heavy show. They focused on the matches, and I was very happy with how it turned out.
Your MVP for the show?
That's a tough one. That's a really tough one. Because nobody really stood out overall. I'm surprisingly going to have to go with Roman Reigns. I think he didn't really have the lion's share of the offense, and it was a little bit of lull Reigns win, but I think him being able to put to rest everything with Wyatt finally in a very hard-hitting, very brutal match, and he was able to kind of overcome everything. I thought he and Wyatt really did have a great match. Probably the second best match. The second best is the very worst. But I thought he had a really good show tonight, and I'm interested to see where it goes from here.
All right, thank you very much, Patrick. Gary.
Yes, sir.
Your favorite match and moment from the show?
I think I have to agree with these guys right now. The first Hell in a Cell match with Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns. It was just so much fun. There was actually some different moments in here that were very creative. So, yeah, definitely got to go with that. My favorite match. I would think favorite moment for me, and this is offhand, but getting a chance to see Zeb Coulter in that chair coming out. I mean, I'm a big Zeb Coulter guy, so that was one of my favorite moments.
Yeah, I'm okay with Zeb Coulter returning. I don't know that Del Rio's the guy to put him with, but I think this is going to lead to something down the road for Coulter and Del Rio's break. So I'll let it be for now. Let this story play out for now and then go on from there. Your least favorite match and moment?
Least favorite match, I mean, once again, I hate to be a broken record, man, but I really, looking back and looking at different matches, I just really think the world title match was underwhelming. It really was. It wasn't special. It didn't really bring anything out in me, and so I really feel like I got to go with Seth Rollins and Kane's match. It's just not being the strongest. So, and my least favorite moment, I think about it, and these guys had some great points, but I'll say this. I think my least favorite part was the fact that Kane lost because no more Kane Director of Operations.
I actually think that's a very good idea there, and that's something that I considered myself. All right, let's go with your overall score for the pay-per-view.
I'm going to go 6, and I think the two Hell in a Cell matches were fine. I enjoyed one of them really a lot, and the other one was pretty darn good. The world title match, like I just said, not great. IC title match was average, maybe a little bit above average at times. Divas match was not great. Just different matches were not just all amazing. So I think 6 is a fair score.
Your overall MVP for the show?
It has to be Alberto Del Rio. Big surprise. Did a great job. I mean, first night back, beating John Cena, the guy that beats everybody. I got to give it to him. So,
all right, turn the tables on me, Gary.
All right, here we go, man. All right, Mr. Harry Broadhurst, who and what is your favorite match and moment?
I said at the start of the show, and I'll repeat it here again. I think Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns completely outperformed everyone's expectations of that match and put on one of the better PG-era Hell in a Cell matches we've ever seen. So I'm going to go with Bray and Roman for my match of the night. My favorite moment of the night was the actual treating of Bray Wyatt as a threat at the end of the show with him and his Wyatt family carrying off The Undertaker as he's on limp across their shoulders.
Ooh, I like that. That's a really good thought and great illustration, Harry. Your least favorite moment and match?
my least favorite match was Alberto Del Rio and John Cena. And it has nothing to do with the match itself being actively bad or anything. It has everything to do with the fact that the match was incredibly underwhelming. You guys were saying that about Seth Rollins and Kane, but we kind of know what to expect with Kane in 2015. This is a freshly returned to the company Alberto Del Rio and a John Cena who has made pretty much everyone look good with the U.S. Open challenges. And this match just did not deliver to me. My least favorite moment on the show was whatever the fuck you want to call that German suplex, back superplex thing.
Yeah. Oof. That'll definitely be something that lives on in history, right? Oof. Just bad. All right. So, your score for this show?
I originally gave it an 8 on the W2M Facebook group, but I'm going to lower that to a 7 upon revisiting it and talking about the show here, because one of the things that I originally gave it an 8 about was the surprise value for Del Rio's return, but as I said earlier, I think the match could have been better. Bray and Roman had an awesome match, I think. The Divas match was what it was. The tag title match was what it was. I don't necessarily agree with all the booking decisions tonight, but at the same time, I don't disagree with any of them either. I don't feel like they went out of their way to spite the crowd. They went out there and let the wrestlers tell the stories themselves rather than having to use the booking to tell the story, and I appreciate that for the company. So I'm going to go with
And only
7.
John Cena lost the title tonight. When's that, though?
Said no one ever.
Yeah, but it happened on this show. That's amazing. So that's something to think about right there.
Yeah, it really is.
Complaining about John Cena. Well, he's the one that lost the title on this show. Paul also gave the show a 7. So.
Okay.
You must have watched that show quick.
I know. Wow.
Well, he gets home about like 10. So.
Okay. And he's able to fast forward all the gaga too.
Yeah,
Yes.
that brings up a good point. All right, you got to give your MVP.
My MVP for tonight's show, you know, it's rare that I find myself doing this 2 months in a row, but much like I gave the MVP to a plus 50-year-old at the last show in Sting for Night of Champions, my MVP for this show is the, I believe, 50-year-old Undertaker for going out there and putting in the performance that he did against Brock Lesnar.
All right, fair enough. There you go. All right, everybody. Well, that pretty much wraps it up. Good show. Lots of different opinions here, and that's what we love. We all have different thoughts, and that's what makes this show a lot of fun. Definitely want to thank everybody that called in. Rick and, of course, Brandon both called in tonight. And, of course, we missed Paul. Wish he could have been on with us. But, hey, we'll get more for him and from him and his thoughts on this show on Thursday night with Wrestling to the Max when we reconvene for that. But I want to let Mr. Harry Broadhurst do a little pimping himself because he's got a great show over there that I want him to kind of talk about.
Facebook's Yes Wrestling group presents the Raw Reaction Monday night at 11:30 p.m. Myself, Tony Acero, and as mentioned earlier on the show, Rick Belaw debuts as his official third co-host this Monday night with the Raw Reaction, brought to you by Yes Wrestling. Yeah, we're no longer on VOC. I'm not allowed to say anything more about it than that.
That's okay. No problem.
All right.
But yeah, that's awesome, man. And definitely, me and Sean and Paul, we all want everybody to go check out the Raw Reaction. Not only are we good friends, but we want to make sure that everybody knows that, hey, if you want immediate reaction from Raw, that's the place to go. We always cover Raw, but man, we cover it on Thursdays. By then, it's kind of gone and past. We really just kind of ask questions about Raw now. We don't get in deep like these guys do, so you need to go check out these guys. They do a wonderful job. We love listening to their show. Heck, we've been on the show before, and we enjoy it. So, I want to thank, of course, the other guy here, Mr. Patrick Ketza. Thanks for being on with us, man. And I know you got some things in the works, and I think we'll let you talk about that when you want to.
Thank you for doing that Ravel with us. 'Cause
yes.
I know that wasn't something you had to do, and you made it better, so.
I'm not the one calling him a liar here. Wow.
No, it was definitely, I had a blast doing it with you guys, and hopefully, we can work out some small things that we had tonight, especially with the syncing up, but I think, that's why it's a pilot, that's why it's a first attempt at stuff. Hopefully it's something we can do in the future. It's a lot of fun.
Definitely. So we definitely appreciate you, Patrick. And, of course, this is always a fun time. We love doing post pay-per-views with these guys. So make sure you come and check us out the next pay-per-view. But, besides that, Sean, is there anything else you want to plug before we get out of here, buddy?
Well, if you care about the football side of things, tomorrow night after Monday Night Football, or later today whenever you're listening, or whatever it is, it might have already happened by the time you're listening. Football to Football, we'll be doing our Week 7 recap show. Of course, we'll be doing the Monday Night Football post-game there on Unravel. We'll do it on the podcast as well. Then we'll go through each game. Randy and I have split up the games. We'll talk about each one, have questions about all the teams and everything, how everything's looking heading into Week 8. We're almost into that halfway point of the season, Gary. Can't believe we're almost there.
Wow.
We're almost there already. But some interesting things have happened. And, and then, of course, we'll have our episode 167 of W2M as well. So,
awesome.
Where we'll be doing a New Japan Power Struggle preview. That's the only thing I know right now.
Okay.
Other than the regular stuff we do. So
definitely.
Real quick, I want to tell you guys, if you haven't had the chance yet, they put up in the archive section of it on the network, they put up the debut episode of Breaking Ground that aired after the paper.
I forgot. I was supposed to talk about that right now. Before we get out of here. That show was actually pretty good. It's going to be really interesting to see how they go through this the whole year. It looks like there's some stuff that that's kind of been added in as the weeks go on. There's obviously things that based around who the show is based around in the first episode, that there's some of it that was taped way in the past, and then there's some of it that, because, the next episode is going to talk about the Iron Man match that obviously has already happened, but it's not that long ago, it's not that long ago either. So it seems like it's a little bit of a mix of really old stuff and some stuff that's kind of newer together. So it's interesting, and there's some people that, like you get to see part of Devin Taylor's trials and tribulations as she tried to be a wrestler, and obviously we know she's not there with the company anymore, but it was interesting to see, and some of the guys that, are leading figures now, and hopefully we get to see some more of them and everything, and how they actually go through and plan the matches, and you get to hear a lot from Sarah Amato on there too, so that was cool to see. Patrick didn't seem to be.
I was just saying yay from you saying that we get to see Sarah Amato.
Yes, that's true. All right.
Oh, that's it.
I mean, it's a 30-minute show that's not a hard watch at all. So if you have 30 minutes to kill in between something, I would highly, especially if you love NXT at all, this is something you got to go check out. Mm-hmm. If you don't care about NXT, I think it's actually a nice way to get a behind the scenes of the show, and maybe you'll get a better grasp of some of the characters if you watched it and said, this ain't for me, whatever, I think you should give it a shot.
Yeah, real quick, if I could, going on the first episode, it's kind of hard because of the fact that it's kind of an introduction to everything. So the first episode really was good, but I'm going to be more interested to see where it is for the second episode, the third episode, and so on and so forth, to see, because to me it almost seemed like another time where everything was in fast forward and they were trying to smash everything in all at once, rather than speaking with one story. It seemed like they tried to go with 5 at once. But, I'm willing to give it a chance, and I am actually really interested to see where it goes. And like you mentioned, how, considering the fact that Devin Taylor isn't with the company anymore, is that shown on, a future episode of this? Does it play into something?
Yeah.
So
you get to meet Kenyon Seaman too, and you get to see kind of his side of things, which we've never actually gotten to know, honestly. So
I'm gonna miss Devin.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss the head pats. So.
I was really looking forward to them doing something with Devin and Dana. I know the match was going to suck to all hell and back, but I was still looking forward to something resembling a blow-off.
Yeah. That show also made me care more about Baron Corbin than I think I've ever cared about Baron Corbin ever. So.
Wow. That means I really need to watch it.
Yeah, because you kind of get behind his struggles, like what he's had to go through and stuff, which they don't tell you that part on the show because he's supposed to be a badass, so.
Yeah. I mean, how could someone that handsome deal with it, I get it.
You and I have different aspects of whatever, beauty is, so. Gary, sometimes I wonder.
It's okay. We enjoy ourselves. Yeah, we're looking forward to watching that show.
That's what makes Gary and I different here.
Yeah, that's right. See, I've got I'm comfortable with my sexuality, right? That's okay. So
I wasn't talking about that.
All right, I just got a used copy of Here Comes the Pain for my PSP. So if we could put a bow on this.
Okay, we're going to. So guys, this has been fun, a lot of fun, and once again, we will do this after every pay-per-view. So keep joining us. Come check out us, me and Sean, on Wrestling to the Max on Thursdays. Go check out Mr. Harry Broadhurst and his crew on Monday nights after Raw. And that is Raw Reaction again. Don't forget it. Anyway, guys, well, we have had a lot of fun, but we are getting out of here. So I know, just make sure you guys know, if you're not living life to the max,
not living life at all.
See you guys
later.